My next question, we're going to start with Harry. What do you think of building a wall at the border?
Well, I think that may be an issue, and I would support that as long as the majority of people supported that. I would actually station our troops on the border, get them out of the middle of the country, and put them on the border where they belong, because there's no controls that we have right now at all.
Okay, then
Um,
I have a corollary to that first question. Actually, three questions. Who should pay for the wall? All Americans or just the border states that want a wall? Who would build the wall? If we want to keep costs down, should we use Mexican labor? And the third part is, should we build a similar wall between Canada and the USA? Do walls really keep people out of the country?
I think we need to have secure borders, period. Whatever that takes, it's a national issue. Once people come into the country illegally, they don't stay in any one state. When they pass more aggressive laws in Arizona, people just move to Ohio or someplace else, or Iowa. They're in every major country. I'm sorry, every major state. So it's a major issue for the whole country. No country in the world allows millions of illegal people to come into the country every year. Nobody does this but us. It's crazy. It should be stopped.
And we'll get back to some of these other questions on the rebuttals. So, JL, do you want to address this issue of a wall?
Well, a full-length wall is a little bit costly. It really won't work. Um, we could do battleground encampments, razor wire if we're, that desperate, but we don't need to. We can have private walls, private buildings built that act as walls and actually create jobs and put America back to work. We create small towns around what we'll get into as the Mueller Ellis Island idea, which is on dirt, of course. Um, but walls themselves are not going to prevent too much of anything. We can block traffic. We don't need walls. I've been down on the border many, many times. I've walked the routes that the drug mules walk. I know what the problem is. It's not as bad as what we'd think, but with these cartels killing people and blowing out sections of walls that do exist, we can't take it lightly. So.
Okay, and getting back to who should pay for the wall, all Americans or just the border states? And who would build it? And do we really, well, you already said you didn't think the walls keep people out, but should we build some similar walls between Canada and the United States?
That would work. Either or, Canada, Mexico. We can put a wall in Florida if we want. It won't keep anybody out really, but the idea is to use private money, to use businesses that will put their money into it. It's kind of the overall Mueller initiative plan, the Mueller debt plan. We've talked about this quite a few times. Private money works best because it can incorporate profits and, of course, create those jobs that we need.
Don, should we build a wall?
Well, we gave Boeing $3 billion to build 27 miles of wall in Southern California. And they didn't finish the wall, and it didn't seem to be effective anyway in that 27 miles. You build a 12-foot wall, they come up with a 14-foot ladder. My idea is to electrify that fence and feed it with at least 100 amps at like 2,000 volts. So if they touch it in any way at all, they're fried. And if we're going to put troops on the border down there, I want them to shoot to kill and leave the corpses lay. Give a message to people that we are defending our border. We're not an open border. I have contacted Congressman McKeon about this, and he said, well, it's only about 4,000 people a day that come across. That adds up to 1.5 to 2 million people a year coming in. Living in Southern California, as you do too, Judy, my community out there in the Antelope Valley is 39% Hispanic. I see their arrogance. You don't dare look at them eye to eye because they're ready to shoot you. I mean, I put up with the graffiti that's around town, and they didn't come here to become Americans. They come here to expand the borders of Mexico.
And who would pay for this wall? How would it get paid? For
I think the entire nation needs to pay for it. And the same with the Canadian border. We have Muslims that come into Canada and then come across the border and sneak in, as they did up there into Seattle, where they were going to come down and bomb the LAX, and they were caught there with the explosives in their car.
Okay, and Harry, did you want to take 30 seconds to rebut?
Yes, I did, because I don't think the emphasis needs to be on walls. And by the way, the walls in Israel work very well. They work exceptionally well. Nobody gets through that system, or hardly anybody, and they've demonstrated that over many years. But the issue shouldn't be walls. The issue should be, as I mentioned, when people sign up for utilities, that's when we find out who's who. And then second thing you do is, like Canada doesn't have walls, and if you I've read articles in the paper that the illegal immigrants don't go to Canada because they don't get any benefits if they go to Canada. They only get free benefits that even American citizens don't get if they stay in the United States. If I get sick and go to the hospital, I don't get free health care. I die.
Okay.
40,000 Americans every year that do because they don't have health insurance. But if you're an illegal alien, you can walk in and get free health care for you and your entire family. I think that's crazy.